Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Rajiv Jain from Jivaji University, Gwalior. Today we are going to discuss about a module Biotechnological Method of Pollution Detection under the paper Environmental Biotechnology. Here learning objectives in this module are general bioassay in pollution monitoring. What is how pollution monitoring can be used? Cell biology in environmental monitoring. Cell biological methods. Test system for assessment of genetic damage. Molecular biology in environmental monitoring. We shall also study here immunoassay, bioluminescent, biosensor in environmental analysis, different types of biosensor, environmental applications of biosensors. So, different types of biotechnological efforts have been being made, applied instead of chemical by using different types of biotechnological techniques. Here, in this lecture, I shall emphasize how biotechnological efforts can be made for the monitoring of different pollutants in the environment. Efforts to monitor, map, and abate pollution through biosystem approach have gained importance in recent years. It has been realized by the environmental protection agencies worldwide that this new alternate technology holds tremendous potential in the restoration of environmental quality and its management. Biomonitoring or screening of xenobiotics in the environment with living test systems is one such aspect. It has now been recognized that no water pollution studies are complete until biological aspects are included. Bioassay is not just a tool but a very important criteria to allow or to disallow the discharge of a toxic substance. The availability of diverse techniques have now placed toxicologists and environmental scientists in a better position to monitor the environmental health from diagnostic, preventive, and remedial point of view. However, in recent years, the conventional surveillance was largely based on physical and chemical methodologies. But in any pollution study, knowledge of mechanism of biological response plays a crucial role as the ultimate damage is affected on the living system. Moreover, it often becomes difficult to detect the intermittent and chronic pollution effect through conventional technologies. This is because damage to the biological system may be brought about at a very low concentration of the pollutant, much below the so-called permissible limits, as recommended by conventional strategies. These hidden injuries can often be resolved only through biosystem approach. Other advantages includes its cost effectivity in the long run, while the knowledge of ecological equivalent may offer the possibility of extrapolation of data from one region to the other. Bioassays do not require assumptions and they provide the means of quickly screening samples for toxicity assessment. Thus, biomonitoring can serve in a complementary fashion with other strategies in defining toxicity threshold. In this regard, several groups of plants, microbes, and animal test samples have been utilized at different organization levels. Choice of criteria or parameters is very crucial in bioassay studies as to the reliability, predictivity, and universal acceptance. This is more apparent when one takes into account the possibility of inherent variability in living systems coupled with the influence of environmental factors upon them. However, the techniques of bioassay largely encompasses the three types of criteria, that is, symptoms of visual damage, genotoxicity test, and assessment of the responses at the metabolic levels. At the initial stages of biopsy, it was largely based on visual rating only. Hence, the concept of LDSO or LCSO emerged for fishes, that is, the dose at which 50% of test organism is affected. Computer programs for the determination of these values have also been developed. The growth rate, productivity, or phenology are considered. For the microbial growth, the turbidometric analysis or electronic particle counters are used more often nowadays. In case of higher plants, seed viability, germination frequency, growth rate of different parts, and any visual damage, symptoms of leaves and other parts are considered. Genotoxicity test. Genotoxicity test involves the assessment of damage at the cellular and subcellular levels. Cells are primary sites of interaction between chemicals and biological systems. The importance of toxicity assay at this level is based on the assumption that cellular changes are finally reflected in the metabolic and morphological disorders at the organism, species, or population levels. The parameters at the cellular level include different biomolecules, organelles, immune reactions, that is, immunoassay, and membrane processes. These involve simple and inexpensive tests. Cytotoxic tests depend on the estimation of chromosome damage, including breakages, sister chromatid exchange, or micronuclei counting. Dysfunction of plasma membrane is mainly caused by lipid peroxidation affecting its fluidity and structural integrity. It can be measured by conductivity studies indicating ion leakage or trypsin blue uptake or leakage of enzyme like LDH, while lysosomal viability is rated through the neutral red dye retention assay. Lately, DNA probe is also being considered as a corollary to these parameters, particularly helpful in the identification of pathogens in water samples. Table 1 explains the toxicant effects and bioassay levels have been tabulated in Table 1. It is very clear from the table that how toxicant enter into the biosystem. It may be by the process of diffusion or active transport. Then it is taken by receptor sites, molecular changes, and all the route pathway is indicated there and how it comes into the individual and population level. Metabolic rating. With the advancement of knowledge of the physiological and biochemical mechanism of metabolic processes, it was thought worthwhile to consider the changes in some of these parameters induced by pollution stress as unquestionable biomarkers and thus help in visualizing the impending danger. Biomonitoring involves both qualitative and quantitative assessment of these markers. They include changes in the contents of chlorophyll molecule and its fluorescence kinetics, contents of soluble protein, nucleic acids, changes in the activities of key enzymes, their reaction kinetics, and electrophoretic assessment of isozymes or the induction of some stress proteins. Here are some of the examples here are highlighting the utility of bioassay. First is plant test systems. Among the test systems in plant group, algal bioassay have been widely used since 1970s. This is due to their high sensitivity, easy availability, and culturing facilities in limited areas. They are considered as good indicators of pollution. The primary criteria considered are growth rate, productivity, and LCSO value. At the metabolic level, the photosynthetic efficiency has also been taken into account using C14 assimilation, oxygen evolution, and by noting the degradation of in vivo chlorophyll fluorescence. Inhibition of some key enzymes has been considered also. Some of the algae commonly considered as test materials are Corella, Slemantha, Navicuola, Spirulina, Anabina, and Microcystis among the microalgae, while among the marine macroalgae, Viva, Fucus, Laminaria, Macrocytis, and Cadium are worth mentioning. Experimental methods of algal toxicity have been studied by many workers. For quantifying the responses and toxicity unit concepts have been utilized. In case of marine microalgae, changes bond structure and biomass have been used as a pollution detection criteria. Benthic community diversity has also been used. Algae species are often used as bioindicators of pollution. Dominance of cyanophysia in the phytoplankton community of a water body indicates its europhytic nature. Bacterial bioassays have been used since long for the detection of facial pollution in potable water through the well-known coliform test. At present, obligate anaerobic bacteria and their phages and viruses are considered to be the most suitable indicators of water pollution, while the bacterium Salmonella has been used in AMIS tests to detect atmospheric mutagens with the help of its different mutant strains. Bacteria are good indicators of organic pollution. Among the phenomenon of bacterial bioluminescence has been used as an indicator in the analysis of atmospheric gases and other compounds like formaldehyde, ethyl acetate, etc. Bioluminescence is an enzymatically catalyzed light-emitting reaction in living cells. Photobacterium phosphorium colonies are used in a special photodetector where a change in the emission of light due to pollutant effect is detected by a sensor, then amplified and recorded by a computer. This has been shown, representation of this process has been shown in figure 1, how a photodetector is used for this purpose. Lynchings are now commonly used in mapping cities for atmospheric sulfur dioxide detection. They dwindle in areas where the sulfur dioxide concentration in the air is relatively high. Lynchings serve as a litmus towards atmospheric gas pollutions. A number of forest and aquatic mosses such as Bryum, Stereophyllum, Frontinalis, and others have been used to monitor metal pollution in rivers by measuring their shoot tip growth, while Sphagnum has been used to monitor the atmospheric deposition of arsenic and selenium in Canada in the vicinity of mining and smelting areas. Aquatic ferns like Azolla have shown promise in metal pollution monitoring. So, animal test system. What is animal test system? Among the faunal species, among the faunal flora and fauna, among the faunal species, toxicity to fishes have been considered since 1950s as a good criteria of xenobiotic bioassay to provide the basis for strategy formulation in the release of toxicant. It has provided the basic tool in monitoring pesticide, phenolic compound, and waste from the tanneries and textile industries. In fact, the concept of LDSO first emerged from studies on fishes. Toxicity assessment has been done on morphology, behavioral behavior, change in the different organs, muscles, and metabolism as well. Lately, Inhibitory effects of xenobiotics on fishes have been investigated on the enzyme acetylcholine esterase, which is neurotransmitter and has been found to be a good marker of pesticide pollution. Some of the common fish types in bioassays are Catia, Labia, Chena, Telecost, and Telepia. Other faunal groups include Protozoa, particularly the ciliated ones, as good bioindicators through changes in their behavioral pattern, and thus the concept of ethogram has developed. A number of zooplanktons like photoplanktons have helped much in evaluating toxicant effects in aquatic systems. They include the well-known Dolphinia mango and other crustacean species. They also accumulate and concentrate a variety of harmful materials, including heavy metals, qualifying them as effective indicators of metal pollution in aquatic environment. Rotifers are a kind of helminths among the zooplanktons and grow mainly among aquatic vegetation. They constitute another class of fauna which have proved to be good indicator of saprobity and trophic levels of water, indicating the contents of putrid organic matter as given by biological oxygen demand values. The genus Broncinus is considered with eutrophic water. The quotient QBT has been considered to be a good index of trophic levels. For example, oligotrophic when QBT is greater than 1, mesotrophic when it is in between 1 and 2, and eutrophic when it is less than 2. However, all these attempts are still based on laboratory tests and yet to be included in field bioassay. The advantage of applying rotifers in biomonitoring of water lies in their easy recognition, easy cultivation, slow growth rate, and year-round availability. Although environmental biotechnology is still in the information stage, there is no question now with respect to its utility as pollution monitoring parameter along with the conventional techniques. It is hoped that when some of the test systems and the parameters are standardized, pollution biomonitoring will become more sophisticated and will be placed on a sound footing. But a single biotest or a single test organism may not always satisfy the criteria, and for which a battery of tests and multi-species system may be desired. However, the standard test organism should meet certain criteria which are as follows. Number one, it should be sensitive to a pollutant. It should be able to readily absorb or adsorb the toxicant. Further, it should be readily available throughout the year and is of common occurrence. It should have features which are directly measurable and predictive. It should be useful in providing inexpensive or cost-effective measure. Now I shall here discuss cell biology in environmental monitoring. Cell biology is a specialized branch of biology encompassing the structural and functional aspects of cells and their components. Recent developments in allied sciences like biochemistry, biophysics, genetics, and molecular biology, coupled with instrumentation, have widened the scope of cell biology. It is being effectively used as an important parameter of screening environmental mutagens and carcinogens. The tests coming under the orbit of cell biology aim to trace the damages caused by different environmental toxicants on different cellular parameters like cell membrane, cell organelles, and chromosomes, carrying the genetic material like nucleic acids and proteins. They also help in the understanding of the basic mechanism of toxicity, mutagenicity, and carcinogenicity. Utility of this aspect of study has assumed such an importance that a separate discipline called environmental mutagenesis has been instituted. It got a major thrust with the exponential growth of industrial chemical production and realization of their effects on human genetic system. Like any other scientific discipline, mere identification of the phenomenon led to the technological innovations of detection at both in vitro and in vivo levels to find out the remedial measures. One such example being the possibility of amelioration of radiation damage in human genetic system to a great extent by cysteamine injection. It forms disulfide with cellular protein and offers protection. If the source of the damage is known, then the test systems may help quantitation and prediction of further consequences. Thus, they can act as warning systems. The tests are simple and inexpensive also. Next is test system for assessment of genetic damage. Since 1940s, various test systems have been developed using microorganisms, plants, laboratory animals, and human cell cultures to assess the toxic and mutagenic potency of numerous chemicals and radiations and even living mutagens or virus and bacteria induced mutations. One of the tests is AMIS test. The AMIS test is based on cell biological principles, include the classical test. It involves the utilization of a series of strains of the bacterium Salmonella typhimurium with the specific ability to detect certain types of chemical mutagens. It is a very widely used preliminary short-term testing and screening of drugs, agricultural chemicals, cosmetics, food additives, inorganic metals, and other pollutants. It is based on the principle of the frequency of reversion of mutations at the histamine locus. Common yeast cells have also been used for such type of detections. Another test is cytogenic assay. In higher plants and animals, detection of permanent genetic damages takes longer time depending on the lifespan. Thus, in these cases, the chemical induced disruptions in the chromosome system, be it in vegetation or reproductive cell, is taken as the criteria of assessment of mutagenicity or carcinogenicity as they constitute the basic hereditary materials. However, insects with shorter life cycle or aerobidophysis system among plants permit the analysis of events throughout the entire life. Other plant systems that have helped reliable screening and monitoring hazardous environmental chemicals are pea, maize, soybean, cowpeas, and Tradescantia. Tradescantia has unique characteristics which provide two ideal genetic endpoints for mutagenicity testing with stamen hair assay and micronucleus test. These stamen hairs are highly sensitive to gaseous chemicals like Freon 22, benzene, ozone, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, and they serve as indicators by changing their color. Another thing is the chromosome damage. The most common method of toxicity testing of chemicals is the so-called allium test or the use of broad beam Vicia fava to check the extent of induction of chromosome aberrations in form and behavior. These may be different types, including fragmentation of chromosomes, bridge formation, and disruption of the normal cell division. They serve as clear hazard indicators and can even be quantified. The severity of the damage may depend on the chemical makeup of the toxicant. Another test is micronucleus test. This method is applicable where very small nuclei are stored within the cell formed by large-scale fragmentation of chromosomes. The extent of such nuclei formation can be directly correlated to the severity of damage. This is now routinely used for screening mutagenic compounds due to relative simplicity and rapidity. It is most practical for analysis of bone marrow cells of animals in vivo after exposure to chemicals. Sister chromatid exchange test is an effective parameter of cytogenic assay. It is based on the damage caused by DNA molecule and misexchange of chromosome segments. This is characteristically revealed first by using bromodeoxyuridine dye and then strained with a fluorescent dye technique. The potentiality of this test is that even after a short exposure, it can be easily detected. Besides the aforementioned nuclear parameters, damages to cell membrane and cellular organelles can be detected in a number of ways. The plasma membrane is the first structure encountered by a toxic agent upon reaching the cell. The membrane are the sites of uptake, deposition, and elimination of chemicals. The lipoprotein composition of the membrane acts as selective barrier due to its semi-permeable nature. Many toxic compounds can modify the membrane structure and its fluidity by the so-called lipid peroxidation, that is oxidative destruction of the membrane. Dysfunction of the membrane can ultimately lead to cell and organisms death. Inside the cell, other membrane systems, including those of mitochondria, nucleus, vacuoles, lysosomes, etc., act as effective sites of compartmentalization. The loss of semi-permeability of the membrane can be measured by the leakage of the enzyme like LDH. Next aspect is the how molecular biology can be applied for the monitoring of different pollutants in environment. In the monitoring of environment, molecular probe is primarily based on small segment, the oligonucleotide of nucleic acids, that is DNA or RNA, capable of recognizing complementary base sequence to the target DNA from the sample organism. It could also be thought, it, uh, repeat, it could also be through the sequence recognition of specific protein, that is antigen antibodies, as is done in immunoassay. DNA probe or DNA gene probe, as it is called, helps in the detection of the gene rather than its product. While immunoassay identifies the amplified gene product, these recently developed molecular probes are utilized in various biotechnological studies in the area of environmental analysis. These are very useful in the diagnosis of infection diseases, identification of waterborne pathogens, microbes in mixed cultures, and food contaminants. They are very sensitive, accurate, and faster and very fast. While the conventional test based on morphology and physiology may take few days, the molecular technique takes only a few hours. Next thing is the immunoassay techniques. Immunological techniques based on antigen antibody reactions are have are now widely adopted in various environmental analyses, including diverse pesticides, herbicides, and identification of microbial pathogens and their toxins in food and water. They are useful only in those cases where substances show immunological properties. Of these techniques, both enzyme immunoassay and latex agglutination tests are very widely applied. Enzyme immunoassay relies upon an enzyme tag where an enzyme is used as a marker, for example, horseradish peroxidase, glucooxidase, and alkaline phosphatase. They are covalently bound to a ligand antibody protein. They are covalently bound to a ligand, that is antibody protein. In recent years, the use of monoclonal antibody MAB, which is a homogeneous antibody derived from single clone of cells, has made the test more sensitive specific and time saving also. Now I shall discuss applications of biosensor in environmental analysis. What are biosensors? Biosensor is an analytical device based on the sensing response of biological materials that is immobilized in combination with an electrochemical transducer to convert the biological reaction into a digital electronic signal which is proportional to the concentration of the target substance that is analyzed. It is highly specific and accurate in detection. The concept of biosensor is usually attributed to Clark and Lyons, given in 1962. The enzyme electrode, however, was developed by Updike and Hicks in 1971. Since then, it has gained popularity and a vast array of sensors have been developed based on different biodetecting elements. Till recently, it has largely been used in monitoring the efficiency of industrial bioprocesses like fermentation tanks in situ, healthcare for detecting blood glucose level, urea in body fluid, and in military purposes for monitoring toxic gases in warfare. They are, however, now finding more and more applications in the field of environmental monitoring and pollution detection. A biosensor usually comprises of three components. The biological component consists of immobilized biological sensing material with enzyme, immune agents, lectin, DNA, whole microbial cell, and higher plant or animal tissue slices. The advantage being conferred by biological material is the ability to operate at ambient temperature. The physical component is a transducing element which converts biochemical interactions into electrical or optical signal, and it could be made of platinum, gold or graphite. While the interface is a polymeric film or membrane linking the biological component to the transducer. This sensor could be of indirect or direct type. In the former, two electrodes are used and it is based upon the principle of amplifying the signal received from the sensor. In these types of sensors, electrons are transferred from the analyte to the enzyme or other sensing elements and then directly to the electrode. After that, signal is amplified and measured with the help of a microprocessor. Such type of sensors, whether enzyme or whole cell, has been widely used for the measurement of oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide gas. These sensors which are based on the principle of gas electrodes, has been widely used for the sensing of oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, hydrogen peroxide, glucose, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide gas. So, students, in this module, you have studied very important technique, that is the application of biotechnology for the detection of pollution. Here we have applied different types of methods for finding out different types of diseases also. Various biosensors you have also studied for the environmental analysis, for the analysis of different types of pollutant, different types of gases, for the analysis of different types of infectious diseases. Thank you.